Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. You can also go to my website, which is jareddillianmoney.com. That's jareddillianmoney.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter at DailyDirtNav. And I have a sad topic. This is kind of sad. But I have to bring it up because it's actually very important. And somebody suggested this to me as a topic today. And I said, gosh, we should talk about this. This is a very important issue that needs to be addressed. It's very important. So there's a lot of people out there, first of all, who are what I would call innumerate. They don't know anything about math. They say, I hate math. Math sucks. I hate math. I don't know anything about math. The funny thing about these non-math people is that they cover their ears. They're like la 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 la. No math. They don't want to learn math. And that's actually true for money. People say, I don't want to learn about money. Let somebody else do that. Okay. That's not good. It's not good. So the whole thing is, we talk about financial independence, and financial independence means that you are not dependent on another human being for your financial well-being. So if you just abdicate all responsibility and you say, I am not going to learn math, I am not going to learn, forget the math, but if I'm not going to learn about money, then it's no good. Somebody else is going to do it for you. Maybe this isn't somebody that you trust. And people put themselves in a situation where they are totally helpless, and at the mercy of somebody who may not have their best interest in mind. And this is how people get scammed. We talked about scams earlier. It's math. It's hard. I don't know anything about it. Great. They put their whole financial life in the trust of another person. And sometimes that works out. I've seen some relationships where, it's usually the man. The man does the money stuff, and the woman just has no knowledge of it. And the guy does a good job, and everybody's happy. That happens. Also, what happens sometimes is that, like I said, it's usually the man. The man does a terrible job, and everybody ends up broke, and then the wife is pissed at the husband, and then they get a divorce. That happens too. There's all kinds of permutations here. Sometimes these things go really bad. And also, I'm going to pick on men here because this is usually the case, but sometimes it is women. But you have men or women, but usually men who get abusive. They're physically abusive, they're mentally abusive, and the marriage turns into a prison. And the person who has control of the finances has the power. And that is very bad. That is very bad. It's bad for women in particular because they may find themselves in a relationship where they don't have the bank account, they don't have the credit cards, they don't have anything, and they're trying to get out of this horrible, horrible relationship, but it's impossible for them to do so. Even if they were, if it's a violent relationship, they're trying to leave and they can't get gas, they can't get a hotel. Their whole financial lives are being controlled by another person. And sometimes it's benevolent, and sometimes it is not. And what I'm saying here is, especially if you're a woman, what I'm saying here is you should learn about money. You should force yourself to take the time to learn about money just for situations like these. And when you enter a relationship, you should, I say this all the time. You should insist on having separate accounts. Separate checking account, separate mutual funds, separate credit cards, separate everything. Now, usually the reason I insist on separate accounts is because people, when they get joint accounts, then they fight about money. They fight about who spends money and blah, blah, blah. That's usually what happens, is that they fight about money. No, this is for something totally different. This is for safety. This is for safety in case this is a relationship that goes bad and you need to get out of it. And if you don't have control over your own money, if you don't have your own checking account or credit cards, then you are really, really, really in big trouble. Really in big trouble. This happens a lot. This happens. It is, now there is a person near and dear to me who was abused by his wife. So it works both ways. It works both ways. I don't mean to be sexist or anything like that. It definitely works both ways. It's actually more complicated when it's the wife that is abusive, because oftentimes the man is too embarrassed or humiliated to go seek help, even when it's really serious. So, yeah, like I said, this is a sad topic. I warned you. This is a sad topic. But it's something you really have to think about, especially when you enter into a relationship with a stranger and you move in together and you don't really know what you're going to get, because sometimes people, they're one person when you first meet them, and then as the relationship gets in deeper, they're another person altogether. So this is why you have to have separate accounts, And if you find yourself in a relationship with a person and you're moving in, the other person insists on combining your financial affairs, whether it's bank accounts or credit cards or whatever, they insist on combining your financial affairs, you have to resist and you have to say no. You say, I want separate accounts. And they'll say, well, if we have separate accounts, then it means we don't really love each other. And you say, okay, not negotiable, not negotiable. And if that means that ends the relationship, then maybe the relationship wasn't strong enough to beginning. It's funny because I harp on separate accounts all the time, and I do make a lot of people angry, because there are some people who have joint accounts and they make it work, and then they get indignant about how their system is better or whatever. Look, if you have a system that works, then fine. I have knowledge of a guy who controls all the money in his marriage, has the checking accounts, has the credit cards, and he gives his wife an allowance. I don't know what the exact amount is, but it's like $100, $200 cash a week in allowance. So there are some controlling people out there. Different strokes for different folks. They seem happy. It seems to work for them, but that wouldn't work for me. If you are a woman in an abusive relationship, you have your own bank account, you have your own mutual funds, you have your own credit cards, then you can leave. If everything is joint or in the other person's name, then you have nothing and you can't leave. And when you get into a relationship with somebody, if somebody insists of controlling the money, that sounds very creepy to me. Remember, this is financial independence, not financial codependence. Financial independence is that we are financially independent. We depend on no one for our financial well-being. Financial codependence is when we depend on each other. And if you find that you depend on another person for your financial well-being, that is not a healthy relationship. It's not a healthy relationship. My parents divorced when I was a kid, and it was very traumatic, and it was a violent marriage, and my mom basically had to escape with me, and she did not have control over the money, and she had to start with absolutely nothing. And it worked out fine, but she had to start with absolutely nothing. And I hope you never have to worry about this. My wife and I have had separate accounts from the beginning. There is no codependence whatsoever in our relationship. At least we got that going for us. I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show.
Jared Dillian. Own your money. Own your life.